Hello and welcome back to Home Wisdom with HBH. I'm your host, Erica Barnaby, and hopefully you've noticed a few new things. Some lights. My audio probably sounds a little bit better, and that's because I have this new pod track right here, so I can make myself a little louder. Oh wow, that's crazy. That's way too loud. Let's just go ahead and turn that down. But that would be a great ASMR. Okay, let's get serious. We're gonna cut that out. Hello and welcome back to Home Wisdom with HBH. I'm your host, Erica Barnaby. And hopefully at this point, this is a podcast where you're getting a lot of your real estate information, or you're at least coming here to learn a little bit about real estate. Other than that, let's go ahead and get some things out of the way. I got some new lighting. Boom. I got some new lighting. Boom. I got a new audio right here. Sorry, my phone's going to be vibrating a little bit, and we'll get into why I'm a little bit preoccupied today, but got my brand new camera right behind us here. And yeah, I got a new keyboard. It's retro. I hope it's so cool, but it's so loud. Listen. So yeah, we won't be typing on that during our podcast, so you guys don't have to hear the click, 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 click. But yeah, I can control my volume. I can get a little bit louder. I can bring it down a little bit, and we want to find a really happy medium because you guys know I can get really loud. So I'm trying to put my mic where I want it and keep it to where you're going to still hear my audio, because I want the mic to stop being my prop, if that makes any sense. Anyways, and then I also got some really cool sound effects. You ready? There it is. Very nice. Very, very, very nice. Or Or if someone tells a really great joke, and I can actually plug and play and add some crazy stuff there if I want to. Anyways, that's enough about that. You may be asking yourself, Erica, why does it look like you've been beaten up on your hands? Well, it's because I have. I just got done with a VA appointment. I'm pretty confident I left 90% of my blood at the VA today. We pulled from this vein, and I got scraped right here. We try to pull from this vein, and we try to pull from this vein. So, yeah, today has been a crazy day. Like I said, they pulled 7 vials, so I'm a little bit low energy. But the reason why I'm doing this podcast is because the podcast I shot for this week, my audio, for some reason, just shit the bed. So we are redoing a very quick, very easy podcast today. And I apologize if my energy level is a little low. I needed to get it done, and I didn't want to not have one this week. So we are here. Here it is, Friday, and the baby's asleep. My wife got called into work last night, so it's just been, really, truthfully, a shit show. However, on the good side of it, we got some inspections done today. Inspections were done, were really good, came out really good for my buyers. Houses are amazing, no termites. Great outcome of that. And then the move to real has been pretty easy. Still working through a little kinks here and there and some transfers and things like that. But for the most part, that has been good. Business-wise has been good. Personal-wise, it's been a little bit of a shit show this week. But that's okay. I digress. So with that being said, we're going to try and do this in one take. So let's dive right on in. All right. We are not going to dive too far into the world of investments. We're going to talk about investing as a beginner. And you guys know I'm a firm believer that every single person that talks about or looks at or thinks about real estate should be considered an investor. It is very important that when we sit down, whether we're talking about your family home, your first-time home, or anything like that, I want you to think of yourself as an investor. And the goal is, obviously, we're building a portfolio. We're building, whether it's 1 or 100, we want to build that portfolio. So that is one realm of everybody in real estate. Everyone that buys a home or is a homeowner is an investor, in my opinion. And you may say, what? No, that's not right. But no, that is right, because an investment is something that is going to increase your value in the future. So buying a home is 100% an investment. Whether or not you see it that way or not, it truly is. Because the second you buy the home, we start getting equity in that home. And a lot of times when you buy the home, you are buying it with a little bit of equity already. So I want you, first and foremost, if you're a homeowner, you're an investor. And it may just be you're an investor of one property and you don't realize it, or it may be that's actually what you do as an investment. But regardless, everyone is an investor. But today we're going to talk about beginning an investment. Like a legitimate, I want to be an investor. That is where I'm headed. Okay? And I wanted to talk about this because I think we're going to see more and more of younger people, early 20s, late 20s, getting into the investment world because people are starting to realize, oh, wow, this is generational wealth. Real estate really is generational. And I think a lot of people's eyes were opened during COVID because saw the of equity. And while that's not going to happen year after year and time after time, equity is always gaining. The longer you hold a property, the more equity you're going to have. When we're talking about growing your equity, there are two ways we really do that. You hold on to a property, you pay off your mortgage as you go, and then whenever you're ready to sell, you obviously owe less, so you get more if you sell, right? And another way I want you to think of it is the longer you hold on to a property, and you may not even, maybe you bought it with cash and you're like, oh, well, that other scenario didn't apply to me. But the longer you hold on to it, the more equity you get because the people around you are selling. So a house, you may have a house for 15 years, and in those 15 years, 10, 15 houses in a quarter mile you have sold, right? So those houses have increased your equity. So the best way to think of it is when we're buying properties and we close on those properties, we're setting the new standard of price. And so when we buy, we've helped that neighborhood increase value. And now when we're getting ready to sell in 5, 10, 15 years, all those homes that we helped when we bought it have now increased equity or increased value of that neighborhood. And now when we're selling, those homes helped us in return. So it's kind of like a stepping stone. Every year after year, it gets a little better and a little better and a little better and a little better. For me, investors are not really my primary focus. I have a few that I work with closely, but for me, I like the emotional side of things. I like the first-time home buyers. I love a single family coming in, a mom and a dad, or a mom and a mom, or a dad and a kid, or a mom and a kid, or a grandma and a kid, or something like that. I like the emotional side of real estate, which is why I tend to stay on single family residence. However, I do have a few really good friends and investors that I help, and I want to be transparent here and tell you that there's two realtors inside me. One is single family, lovey-dovey, kumbaya, and the other one is investor realtor. And that side of Erica is aggressive. That side of Erica is bottom dollar. That side of Erica is a little bit more tough because when we're talking about investment and when we're talking about becoming an investor, you have to change who you are to be successful in that wheelhouse. Real estate investments involve purchasing, managing, leasing, and selling properties to generate income. And that could be a few different ways, right? We can get a house or get a multifamily or get a apartment complex or whatever have you and rent it. That's an income. Or we can get a fixer-upper, fix it, flip it, sell it. That's an income. Or we can do land to property, and that's an income. There's a lot of ways investors can be smart. We can either go after a single family, we can go after a multiplex, right? So a triplex, a quadplex, duplex, right? Sorry, I don't know why I just my train of thought is all over the place. Or we can go as crazy and look for an apartment complex, multi-unit, right? There are so many ways as an investor that we can do it. my advice to first-time investors is to start small. We grow. What is that saying? You have to learn how to crawl before you can run. And in investing, that is crucial to understand. I don't believe it is smart, and I'm sure maybe some people disagree with me. I do not believe it is smart for a first-time investor to say, you know what? I'm going to go buy a 20 unit complex. Yeah, I don't think it's smart for an investor, a first-time investor, to go get in over their head. If you are confident that you can maintain 1 unit, then buy a 1 unit. The more units you get involved, just understand that means more money, that means more time, that means more involvement, more contracts you have to worry about because we have to lease them. Maintenance. I mean, there's a lot that goes into multi-unit. So just be prepared for that. If you are going to be a new investor, my advice to you is start very small. We're either going to go after that the duplex, the triplex, or the quadplex, or if like you're really just trying to dab your feet in it, we're going to go after single family, and we're going to try and get a good deal. Getting started with your first investment is the hardest part. My recommendation to you before you even think about it is we start reading books, we start listening to podcasts like this one, we start looking to find investors that you can pick their brain and understand how they became so successful in the field, and even asking them good and bad, right? What happened? What are some things that you wish you knew beginning that you know now? And really trying to understand that doing this by yourself is probably not the best thing for us. And the more team you have, the better we are. Things like having a contractor on hand, having an inspector on hand, those type of things is something that's really important as an investor to have in your back pocket. And you can just start with having a contractor, like finding a good contractor that you like, that you guys mesh well with, and saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this as an investment, and I want to pick your brain. Can you meet me at this property on this day, so forth and so forth, and you tell me what you think. Having an investor or having a contractor when you're an investor is, I think, key to your success. And you also want to make sure that your finances are in great condition, right? All your ducks are in a row. I know that when you're buying a home as an investment, your down payment tends to be a little bit more. Now, there are ways around it if you're a first-time home buyer and you want to live on one and things like that, like we just talked about in our last podcast. But most times we're going to tell you that you need to be prepared for a significant down payment. So getting your finances in order and understanding what's coming is very crucial to your success. So making sure we get with a loan officer and we have a good plan of action put in place. Once we have all that, then we're going to start small, right? Once we have our finances in order, we have our contractor on hand, maybe an inspector on hand, and we've educated ourselves on the best practices moving forward, then we're going to start looking at homes and units and complexes and things like that. And we're going to start small. We're going to try and find the one that doesn't need an arm and a leg to be ready and rocking and rolling. Matter of fact, as your realtor, what I would do is give you this beautiful spreadsheet, and it's going to sit right here, right in front of you, and it's going to say, here, these are 3 properties that we're going to look at. Let's compare these 3. Let's look at your income. Let's look at the monthly income. Let's look how much yearly maintenance this house requires. How old is it compared to the other ones? All of that wonderful stuff. And then we're going to say bottom dollar, right? That's going to be the beautiful word in investments. Bottom dollar. How much is this really going to cost me? And what is my take home? We want to try and find that diamond in the rough that doesn't need a lot of work, but is not going to break the bank on buying it. And maybe we are going to get a multi-unit complex, and we get a fourplex, right? And let's say one of them is vacant, the other 3 are rented out. Well, this one right here, we're going to do a little cosmetic upgrade to it, and we're going to say this one's rented for $950, this one's rented for $900, this one's rented for $900. We're going to upgrade this one just a little bit, and we're going to make this one $1,100. right? And then when these people's contract in, we're going to tell them, hey, we're going to renovate your property. You can stay there, or you don't have to. It's up to you. But if you do stay there, we're going to rent your property for $11.50, right? Because they were paying $9.50, and we're going to increase it by that amount. So boom, there you go. Now you have two, and they're going to either move out and you're going to get a new tenant, or they're going to say, yeah, that sounds great. There you go. Now you got two that have increased your income. Now this other one, we're going to do the same thing that we did here. Hey, we're about to remodel your property, and so forth on all of those, right? You're either going to do that with 1, 2, 3, or 4 complex. And then if you want to go crazy and get an apartment complex, by all means do it, and then do it that way. But I don't recommend that. Let the seasoned investors deal with that, okay? Due diligence is key to success. That means every property that we're looking at, we are going to do every document we can possibly get our hands on. We're going to look at. We're going to look at rent rolls. We're going to look at how much maintenance it is going to cost. We are going to research every aspect of that property that we possibly can before we move forward. And that is why investing takes a lot more time than buying your own home. Because when you're buying your own home, we want the emotional. I love this home. I can see raising my kids here. I love everything about it. Yeah. All that stuff. When we're investing, it's money. And when you're talking about money and we're thinking about how much this is going to make me, it takes a lot more time to make sure that number isn't an estimate, it's a fact. And while we can't really say, oh, it's a fact in real estate, on all of my investments and all my people that, do investments with me, I like to give them almost 100% fact. This is what we're going to do on this property. I do not like to make offers on homes that I cannot guarantee a good return on investment. Now, if you're a flipper, that's a totally different MF and ball game, because I cannot, and neither can your inspector and neither can your contractor, pull the walls out like you want to do while we're thinking about buying this property. I can't do that. I can only look what my eyes can see. So when you're thinking about investing, when you're thinking about flipping, the good rule of thumb is if you think you're going to pay $15,000, you're going to pay 30. Just double whatever you think you're going to pay, because that's probably what it's going to end up being. Many beginners in the investment world misunderstand, miscalculate, and underestimate the cost that it's going to cost to remodel, or to get this house up and running, or to deal with vacancies, all that wonderful stuff. The biggest hurdle of a new investor is underestimating what they're going to actually spend on the property. When an investor sits down with me and we're going after a fixer-upper investment, something that's not turnkey, most of them will tell you that you're not going to see profit right off the bat. And a lot of times on your first investment, you're not going to see profit for the first 2 or 3 years, because you're new to this and you need to figure out what's going to make you money versus cost you money. And a lot of times, first-time investors don't think about things like, oh, what if there's a massive leak? Oh, what if the water heater goes out? What if we get a nasty hailstorm here in El Paso and the roof gets damaged? Your tenants aren't going to pay for that. You are. Your insurance will. And so, just be prepared that as an investor, it can be tricky when it comes to money. And you need to be prepared and overestimate instead of underestimate. And that's why I just said, if you're planning on spending $15,000 on this property, just double it. Just double it and just be prepared for 30. I mean, I'm telling you, right? Because it's better to have money in your account and go, oh, I didn't spend as much, versus, oh shit, now I have this property that's half-assed done. I can't rent it out. It's a money pit and I'm losing big time on this property. So if you're going to spend $10,000, might as well double it and say, I'm going to spend 20. One of my clients who recently bought with me here in El Paso used to be a contractor. I believe it was in New York. Oof, I think yes. Harvey, hopefully you're listening. It was in New York. Comment and tell me it was in New York. Sorry, I know my brain's still working. And he told me that when he would give a quote, he would always give an estimate that he believed was going to be over, because he wanted to be prepared for the worst things that were going to come. Because if we're going to start knocking down walls and we're going to start redoing electrical and we're going to redo the HVAC and the plumbing and all that stuff, we need to understand when you start moving around on walls and you start pulling things out, that's a can of worms that opens up Pandora's box. And once you start rolling down that hill of holy shit, what are we finding? Is going to continue and continue and continue. So find a good contractor that is going to say, hey, find a contractor that isn't going to say, yeah, that's going to, yeah, I do it for 300, 3,000, 2,000, 100, 3, I don't know. I do. No. Find someone who is confident in the number that they're giving you, because that's the person you want to hire. Because even if it's a little bit more than you expected, they're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. And remember, build a network with other investors. Learn from the people who do it for a lifestyle. That is the best way I can tell you. And that's also advice for new realtors. Find you a realtor who has been a seasoned veteran in this market and get underneath their wings and say, hey, I want to piggyback off of you and I want to learn. The same thing with investing. You want to find an investor that is good at it and solid at it and oftentimes wins, because you don't always win. You're not going to always win when you're investing, but find somebody who wins on a regular and pick their brain and learn from them, because that will be a key to success. So that is a wrap on today's episode. And hopefully, if you're thinking about investing, this is helpful to you. Remember, just because you're a new investor doesn't mean we can't find success. We just have to be smart. We have to be prepared. And we cannot underestimate anything when it comes to investing in real estate. That is the key takeaway from this. Overestimating is better than underestimating. So being over-prepared is better than hoping and praying. Anyways, hopefully you like this content. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a subscribe. Give me a review on your streaming platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's like a little subscribe button right here and like a little bell over here or something like that. One of these two directions. Hit it. Smash it. Do all that wonderful stuff. And then go down to your comments right now and type in, Erica, I'm sorry the VA took so much of your blood. Or give me your best joke about the VA being a vampire, okay? Give me something. Give me something in the comments. I will gladly appreciate it. Hopefully this podcast drives you in and maybe gets you motivated about being an investor. If you are, give me a call. We'll talk a little bit. Whether you are buying, selling, or investing, we want Home Wisdom with HBH to be your go-to podcast for all things real estate in El Paso and Texas. And the country. Whoever's listening, listen away. Remember, more knowledge today means more power for tomorrow. Later.